What is it that we do?
What up, though? We get the people what they want.
Week 2 starts tonight with a game between the Washington football team and the New York Giants. We will get to that, but we're starting with the biggest game of this weekend. I circled this one on the calendar when the schedule came out. It is another matchup between the Chiefs and the Ravens, and here is what Lamar Jackson had to say about it.
Does that bother you? Does that nag at you that there's like one team, one player that you're that you haven't beaten yet?
No, it's not about, me and Mahomes. Not to me, probably to everyone else, but, it's the Ravens versus Kansas City Chiefs.
Jalen, he says it's not about him versus Mahomes. It's the Chiefs versus the Ravens. What do you think?
Lamar is extremely competitive. Lamar understands that Patrick Mahomes is looking him eye to eye when you start talking about the future of the league at the quarterback position. Lamar has already won an MVP. Patrick Mahomes has already won a Super Bowl MVP. Okay, so they're both trending towards all-time greatness. The difference is, for Patrick Mahomes, he's been able to show that he can do it in both phases consistently. In the pocket, passing, outside the pocket, rushing, but also running the football. And frankly, this year, he's on a better football team. He does have Travis Kelce. He does have the Cheetah. And so, my favorite two coaches in the NFL are Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh. They're without J.K. Dobbins. They're without Edwards in the running game. Defensively, they're without Marcus Peters. And we saw them get passed all over last weekend. It's not going to get much better unless they make it better this weekend. This is going to be a gut check for the Ravens, who have high expectations this season.
I absolutely understand what he's saying. It is not a singular matchup between the two quarterbacks. There are going to be like 70 other people that take the field during this game. However, there is no position in team sports that affects winning and losing more than the quarterback in football. So in a sense, it kind of is between Mahomes and Jackson, and that's because they're so good. That's how I look at this game, and that's why I'm so excited for this game. However, I am concerned. While this is in Baltimore, you mentioned all the Ravens that are going to be missing, and Lamar looked pretty good against the Raiders, but that was a tough loss in overtime. I could see them going down 0-2 after week 2, after this matchup. What do you think?
You can't help but rely and over-rely on Lamar. And rightfully so, because he's so dynamic. Like, he made some fantastic plays throwing the ball. He made some great throws his entire career, early in his career, and last week. And some really good runs. But 3 fumbles, 2 losses. You don't want him to continue to take so many hits. They're going to have to take some pressure off of him. And the defense can help, too, by getting some stops. But you can't tell me you've lost 8 total football games and you don't know basically 40% of them were to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. He knows that. He wants to rectify it as well.
In his entire career, he has lost 8 football games, and 3, almost half of them, have been to the Kansas City Chiefs. I know that he wants to turn that around on Sunday. That's not the only matchup that we're looking forward to this weekend. There's also a little Super Bowl rematch between Tom Brady, now with the Buccaneers, and Matt Ryan and the Falcons. Here is what Matt Ryan said about the significance of that game.
A lot of them made because you played Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, 328 jokes. I know you hear about all the time.
I never heard of it. Listen, of course we want to win this week, but it's not going to make up for that. It's one of those things. It's a part of your past. It's part of what happened. But it's got no bearing on this week.
Jalen, do you believe that the Super Bowl loss has no bearing whatsoever on this week's matchup between the Falcons and Tom Brady-led Buccaneers?
It definitely has bearing. Ask any quarterback that's won 1 Super Bowl. Where's Trent Dilfer? Where's Nick Foles? Even Aaron Rodgers. People look at you different when you've won a Super Bowl. Matt Ryan has won an MVP, not a Super Bowl. And Falcons fans, I hate to keep reminding you, I love Kyle Pitts, but y'all should have took a quarterback. I think you might regret that. And so for Matt Ryan, this is going to be a big week because most of the time he plays football this year, Jacoby, he's going to be the elder statesman at quarterback. Not this week. He's going against a guy that just won the Super Bowl and Finals MVP and beat him already in the Super Bowl. Not good if you're the Falcons. Tom Brady is troll. They're about to beat the brakes off the Falcons.
And the Falcons did not look good last week against the Philadelphia Eagles. I think people had some higher expectations for the Falcons and lower expectations for the Eagles, but watching that game, the Eagles looked much better than the Falcons. This could be a disastrous season for the Falcons if they can't turn it around. I expect Tom Brady to not have to come back from
The
down
Super
25
Bowl
points in this one.
MVP, Tom Brady.
Exactly. Well, we also have this from the Dallas Cowboys, Ezekiel Elliott. He had this to say about people in the media, like us, who were maybe critical of his performance against Tom Brady and the Bucs in Week 1.
I mean, if you know football, if you are in this building, then you can tell that someone can have a solid game without, having the best statistics. I mean, if you don't understand that, then you probably should study a little more.
Jalen, I would say that he did not have a solid game, even though he had 11 rushes for 33 yards and 2 receptions. Do I need to study football a little bit more?
We build it up, and now it's solid? Is that where we going with Ezekiel Elliott? Mm-hmm. Like a couple of years ago, when he was in Cabo holding out for his $90 million deal, he was considered one of the, if not the elite backs in the NFL. And ever since that period of time, and we know Dak got injured last year, hasn't been the same. There was some injuries on the offensive line, even COVID. And as I mentioned, Dak didn't play last year, but he still fumbled 6 times last year. They're going to need his ground attack. And I know he did a couple of great blitz pickups. I saw him, a couple of great blitz pickups, right? But you know what they really want? 150 yards and 2 TDs. That's what they really want.
Yes.
So that's what they're hoping for from their big-time, talented running back.
I understand what he's trying to say. Like you mentioned, there's blitz pickups that a running back can do. And other positions, like a linebacker just plugging holes, or a cornerback who never sees the ball on his side of the field because he is that good. However, when you're the running back, you kind of can quantify how good you are. How many yards did you take the ball past the line of scrimmage towards their touchdown is kind of a stat that does quantify how well you performed. So I understand what the ethos of what he's trying to say, but in his particular position, you kind of can quantify how well your game was. And when you carry the ball 11 times and you only go 33 yards forward, that's not a solid game, in my opinion, Mr. Elliott. You know more about football than me, but I do need to study more. But in my opinion, that was not a solid football game. Just my opinion. I'm sorry, Mr. Elliott. Look
In the
forward to
era
better
of
things next week.
fantasy and of betting and of analytics, I got to teach players something. We're a lot more knowledgeable than you think, because before I bet my money on you, it's my job to learn everything about you. So don't underestimate the people who are betting and watching these games.
Great point, Mr. Rose. Sometimes there are videos that need to be broken down in detail. It's time for you and I to go to the table. Jalen, in the world of esports, professional gaming gets high, gets tense. And there's a gentleman by the name of Cake Assault, and he won this particular contest, and you'll be able to tell which one he is. Look how pumped he gets, Jalen! Look how pumped he is. He dislocated his shoulder.
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh no, yeah. It'll trip you out how when you dislocate your shoulder, you realize there's nothing wrong with my legs, but for some reason I'm not walking right now. And we've seen this happen in sports, right? Gus Farah hit his head as the quarterback of the Washington football team after he scored a touchdown. What about the Grammatica brother who messed up his leg celebrating a kick? So I got your back, Cake Assault guy. Celebrate your dub, go get your rehab, and let us know how you doing.
You know I always say that people don't celebrate enough, but this is the one time where you celebrated too much. This is the one time where he celebrated too much. And Jalen Rose, I've spent at least half a decade with you every time you're at a table working on that shoulder, so I know that you can sympathize with Cake Assault. Great name, too, Cake Assault.
I like that, too. That's my guy. I like his hair, too.
Jalen, Urban Meyer has opening at college, the rumors start flying. Here's what he said about the potential of joining the USC Trojans as the head coach.
Some rumors came out yesterday connecting you to the USC job. Just want to give you the opportunity to refute it so that I could put it to bed.
There's no chance that I'm here and committed to try to build an organization.
Jalen, there was a CBS Sports report that perhaps there was some tension between Urban Meyer and the other coaches and the players, and they did not look good in week 1. What do you think about Urban Meyer's future with the Jaguars?
So each of those circumstances are independent. He could be having friction with some of the coaches and/or players, but that doesn't mean he's going to walk away from the Jacksonville Jaguars after he spent so very long at Florida and Ohio State winning championships, walking away from the game, going to the media, and then getting the opportunity in his mind to coach the #1 overall pick in Trevor Lawrence, plus they gave him a huge bag. You saw those reading glasses on top of his head? This is the last stop. He ain't going nowhere. I don't even believe y'all asking him that. He ain't going nowhere. So y'all think he about to move from Florida to California to now go recruit college kids at this point of his life. He's not gonna be able to do it. Now, whether they win or not, that's something totally separate.
Well, the one thing about having the #1 pick is it usually means you get a franchise quarterback, but it also means that your team is so bad that you got the #1 pick. So I do not expect the Jaguars to be good anytime soon. Jalen, this next topic is about somebody very important to you. A gentleman by the name of Calvin Johnson, also known as Megatron, told Graham Benzinger this about his relationship with your Lions.
What do you think has to happen to make it right?
I'm not saying they got to repay me the 1.6 all up front, but then they figure out a way to do it and not have me work for it, because I already did the work for it.
Jalen, I love that he's like, you don't have to pay me 1.6 in one lump sum. Maybe 16 payments of 100, 4 payments of 400. What do you think needs to happen for him to fix this relationship with the Lions?
You know that's my brother, and I got love for him. And I'm forever grateful to not only the work he's done on the field to be a Hall of Famer with the Lions, but the work that he's put in the community in the city of Detroit. And he just started his new business, Primitive, and he's crushing it. But I'm with him. But I got a solution. Hey, Detroit Lions, take a page out of the Bobby Bonilla playbook. All y'all gotta do is say, hey, Megatron, over the next 16 years, we'll give you 100,000. Over the next 8 years, we'll give you 200,000. That's all y'all gotta do. But pay the man his money. He's owed his bread. And I think that was petty for him to take the money the way they did.
Absolutely. Jalen Rose, we're going to move on to the National Basketball Association in Chicago at the Combine. There are reports that Rich Paul of Clutch Sports, that represents both LeBron James and Anthony Davis, saying that they're going to play more of the 4 and 5 this season for the Lakers. What do you think about this report?
So newsflash, in sports, people are really sensitive about their positions, right? So like a tight end, like a Travis Kelce, he wants to be paid like a wide receiver. In basketball, you know this, Jacoby, certain guys that are 6'11" don't want to be listed as a 7-footer. Certain 7-footers don't necessarily want to play the 5. That's Anthony Davis. Think about the last couple of seasons with the Lakers. They brought back everybody except Kareem and Wilt to play the 5, so he didn't have to. They brought back Dwight Howard twice. They brought back JaVale McGee, Gasol. They gave some of those minutes to Montrezl Harrell. Anybody so that AD didn't have to play him. So all of this announcement is just one thing. Ain't nothing changing with LeBron. He's still the power guard. Yeah, he's the second biggest guy, but he's playing guard and primary ball handling. For AD, this is an acknowledgement. We now need you, sir, at the 5.
Absolutely, that's the way it goes. And this year they have DeAndre Jordan now filling that role and Dwight Howard. And I really think they bring them in just to start the game so Anthony Davis doesn't feel like he's the center when he gets announced, or in practice so they can play each other. But really, we all know in the fourth quarter, in a close game, in crunch time, their best lineup is Westbrook, LeBron, AD, and whoever's hot from 3 that night. That's basically going to be their closing lineup in every time they take the floor. But AD, you're not a center. You're not a center. You're not a center. Don't worry about it. You're not the center. If I'm Frank Vogel, I'm like, no, AD,
Tim Duncan.
you're not a center. Yeah, you're not a center. No way.
You saw Pop do this masterfully with Tim Duncan forever. We still call Tim Duncan the greatest power forward ever, and he plays 75% of his career at the 5.
That's a great point. AD is the exact same. You're not the center, AD. Don't worry about it. Sometimes in social media, things get a little socially awkward. Jalen, we all know the story of Dennis Schroeder's summer. He turned down a lucrative extension with the Lakers and ended up signing a much smaller deal with the Celtics. Well, he went to social media and absolutely owned it. Here's his Instagram post where he writes, I'm going to do this one time. Insert your best fumble the bag joke here. What do you think about this move from Schroeder?
The fastest, easiest path to healing in any situation is admission and acknowledgement. And I want to teach everybody something, and I know he had a J. Cole verse on there also. That's actually a flex if you look a little closer. Put that picture back up there for a second. Y'all look at my career earnings, over $60 million. That's my Rolls Royce right there. That's my Bugatti right there. That's my high price luggage right there. So you can think that you're laughing at me, but the actual joke is on you. That's what I see in that flick.
And I also love it that he's just opened himself up to it. And you know, he read all the comments, and I always say you can be mean if you're funny, and I'm sure he enjoyed it. I love this so much. Running from it, hiding from it, trying to defend yourself. It's much better if you just own it and admit it and let it happen. Good move from you, Dennis Schroeder. I'm wishing you the best because I want to see you be really successful. Jalen and Jacoby, we have week 2 kicking off tonight with the New York Football Giants and the Washington Football Team. Jalen, Saquon Barkley coming off an injury, played just 4 or 5 days ago. Do you expect to see a lot of Saquon tonight?
I do. I want to see him look like a feature back, kind of like the guy that started at Penn State, the guy that first got to the Giants and set the league on fire with his speed and explosiveness. I hope he gets 25 touches. The Giants are going to need to because Daniel Jones has a propensity to turn over the football. And on the other side, I want to see Chase Young. There's going to be question marks at quarterback all season for Washington, and I got to remind you, it's not Heineke. You get excited about that position like it's the green bottle. That's not who's quarterbacking the team.
Taylor Heineke, I believe in you. You went toe-to-toe against the Bucs in the playoffs. Lost, but you went toe-to-toe. Jalen Rose, you wanted to finish the show by giving a special shout-out.
I want to send prayers to Brad Jordan, a.k.a. Mr. Scarface, and his son Chris, who donated a kidney so that the legend could have a transplant. Sending prayers and well wishes to you, OG. Hope to see you back on the stage really soon.
And we will be back tomorrow.